Hi, y'all. I'm Obscure Girl. I like movies. I like weird movies. I like weird, trippy, obscure movies that I feel like no one has seen or is talking about. Whether that be because they're just old, or the marketing was bad, or you're like, I think that was a fever dream I had when I was 5. I'm here to tell you, it wasn't. Let's talk about it. So naturally, with that description of things that I am into, cult classics is absolutely something I'm in love with. And seeing as March is not yet quite over, and award season is now done, I want to really just go back in and celebrate St. Paddy's Day and my very, very Irish heritage. And so I was thinking through a whole bunch of movies that are just very, make me think St. Patrick's Day. There's probably 4 that I usually watch around this season every year. One, of course, is Darby O'Gill, which I featured previously this month. Another one is P.S. I Love You with Gerard Butler and Hilary Swank, but that one is a little bit more well-known. There's another one that I'll probably feature next year called Grabbers. And then there is this one, the movie that I was definitely late to the party to find out about, but once I did, oh my god, it was everywhere. I'm talking about Boondock Saints.
Nomini Patri, et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.
Yes, Boondock Saints from 1999, starring Sean Patrick Flannery, Norman Reedus, Willem Dafoe, and Billy Connolly. I absolutely love this movie, but I didn't know it existed until about 2010. I just moved out on my own and was living with a bunch of friends from work, and most of them were juggalos, and a lot of them were guys, about between 19 and 21-year-old guys, and they were obsessed with this movie. One of them wanted the whole prayer tattoo down his whole arm. We had a tapestry of a poster in our apartment that was the prayer from this movie. And I had never heard of it up to that point. I was literally 11 years behind on this one. But when I finally watched it, oh my gosh, I watched it all the time. And I still watch it at least once around St. Paddy's Day every year. It makes me so happy. This is the movie about basically kind of a very controversial topic. And the whole movie itself is about creating a discussion, which I think is really, really cool when a movie does that. And this discussion is, should there be people that go beyond the law to try and right the wrongs of the world? Should there be vigilante justice? The movie is about these two brothers named Connor and Murphy, of course, and they're the McManus brothers, and they're well known in their Boston community, and go to church all the time, and are very really intelligent. They speak multiple languages, but they're working at a meatpacking plant. Anyway, these guys have a very righteous sense of justice, especially coming from Irish Catholic background, and something happens to them that kind of sends them on this mission of trying to fix the wrongs that the justice system's red tape cannot solve. And a lot of the movie is just a discussion from the people around them too, is this or is this not a bad thing? It's really cool. It's very stylized. The quotes are off the charts. I quote this all the time. And most importantly, this is, and I will not yield on this matter, this is Willem Dafoe's best part ever. Oh my god, Willem Dafoe steals this entire movie, is absolutely the thing worth remembering, even though a lot of it is worth remembering. But if you remember nothing else, please remember Willem Dafoe in this movie. I love Willem Dafoe. I love a lot of his roles. I thought he was great in Beetlejuice. It's probably my second favorite role of his. But even just in stuff like John Wick and things like that, I think he's spectacular. Nosferatu, get out of here. He was amazing. But this freaking part, oh my, okay, I need to start getting into it, guys. I need to start giving you the play-by-play. If you have not seen this yet and you don't like spoilers, please click off, go watch the movie. Last I checked, it was on Prime, and then come back and we will discuss. If you're like me and you like knowing what's going to happen before deciding if you're going to, spend a couple hours of your life on this, then please stick around, because we are going to go into a full spoiler play-by-play in 3, 2, 1. So our movie starts out in a church in Boston when there's a guest priest coming and he's doing a little sermon, and then the regular priest jumps in as these two men basically are done praying, walk straight up through the center aisle, up onto the altar, kiss the altar, and walk out. And the guest priest is kind of like, what is going on? Meanwhile, as this is happening, the priest is giving a sermon about justice and is giving a sermon about a woman that was attacked in their neighborhood, and all these people around saw it and did nothing, and talking about how true evil is only possible with the indifference of good men. And then we move on and we just kind of see like a day in the life of these two brothers. They work at a meat packing plant. They like to play pranks on each other. There's a scene where Coach Beast from Glee is there, way younger than I've ever seen her. And they make a comment about rule of thumb. And this is where I actually learned that the term rule of thumb comes from back in the early 1900s. It was legal for a man to beat his wife as long as he used a stick no bigger than his thumb. That was crazy. And then they end up getting fired from the meatpacking plant because after that point, like, there's kind of a little bit of a brawl in the meatpacking plant. Also, none of what they did there was FDA compliant, I'm telling you right now. So then they end up in a bar because, of course, it's St. Patty's Day, and they're in their regular bar McGinty's, and you have Doc, which I can't say his nickname because YouTube. I want to be monetized someday. But he has Tourette's syndrome. And also, it's crazy because it's the guy from Fraggle Rock. So this is already hilarious because I've seen this guy in like Muppet Family Christmas and in Fraggle Rock since I was a tiny child. And he does nothing but curse in this movie and mix up proverbs and things like that, which is so funny. But their buddy Rocco shows up, and he is a delivery guy for the local Italian mafia branch, the Iacovetti family. And again, great time, St. Patty's Day. And then Doc, the bartender, tells them that actually the Russian syndicate that is in the area is has bought the building and is making them close and vacate. So this was going to be kind of like their last hurrah. And then midway through the party, the 3 thugs from the Russian syndicate end up showing up and trying to kick them all out mid-party on St. Patty's Day because they wanted to take possession of the building. And then we move to the next day where Detective Greenlee is in an alleyway seeing 3 bodies just strewn about the place, with very weird bandages and a very weird crime scene, and he's trying to figure out what the heck has happened here. Meanwhile, everything he said was wrong and kind of dumb. And the party starts because Willem Dafoe enters the film as Agent Smecker from the FBI because they think that this might be a organized crime situation because these guys were mafia. They know the syndicate is in the area. They're worried about a gang war. And so he shows up and immediately steals the show. The smack he talks to Greenlee throughout this entire film is some of the most memorable bits. I'm not gonna lie, it is so funny. And just making fun of Greenlee because he's dumb. And then there is the coffee bit that goes on the whole movie because every time Greenlee says something dumb, Smecker's just like, yeah, you're gonna go get me coffee now. Like, 2 sugars, go ahead, bye-bye. And then Smecker ends up putting his headphones in, is listening to opera. I think it's Madame Butterfly, I could be wrong, but is immediately like looking through the entire scene. You can tell he's really taking in the whole thing. Meanwhile, he's also like walking around like composing with the music. It's absolutely amazing. And then he tells you basically line for line like what to expect, what's happening, and you know this guy immediately knows his stuff. We're then seen at a hospital, like in the hallway basically, where the brothers are just like messing around with this one kid that's there, and Doc shows up to bring them clothes and a bag. And I remember with all the fondness in my heart, I was watching this at my parents' house once, and my mom came in and she had no idea what the heck I was watching, but she just walks in as the bartender Doc is having a full Tourette's fit in front of 3 nuns and is just cursing uncontrollably, and she just starts dying because of course her, you know, Irish Catholic upbringing, Catholic schoolgirl her entire education, all the fear she instilled in me and nuns my entire life is all in play right here, and it was amazing. Meanwhile, back at the precinct, they know that the press is already kind of calling these guys heroes because they were taking out mafia guys. And Agent Smecker is like, yeah, these guys aren't heroes. And Detective Greenlee's like, well, we're never going to see them again. They're gone. Just as the brothers come in to turn themselves in while they're like half bloody and kind of bandaged up, and one of them has a little limp. And Smecker just looks at Greenlee and goes, I think I'll have a bagel with my coffee.
Oh, really? I might just be wanting a bagel with my coffee.
Like, this is my tombstone in terms of an action movie with all the quotes. This is my Doc Holliday. So the brothers are just giving a statement to Agent Smecker. This is where they showcase that they speak like at least 4 or 5 different languages, and just saying like they leave out a part about, you know, there being guns and money that they ended up taking from the scene, but they just tell them exactly what happened. The guys, you know, started a bar fight there. The brothers ended up winning, lit one of the guys' butts on fire, and they came back early in the morning and followed them to their, you know, really bad loft apartment, and basically was going to take them out and handcuff one brother to a toilet seat while he was going to take out the other brother. And in this insanely epic score, slow-mo, like really beautifully shot scene, you see Connor is basically like lifts the toilet out of the ground, goes to the fire escape, jumps off the fire escape, dropping the toilet on one of the gangsters' heads, and then he ended up falling on one of the other gangsters, crushing that guy. It was crazy, y'all. Like, check it out. Had to be there. So the guys are not being charged because it was ruled in self-defense, but they do decide to stay at the jail that night because the outside is flooded with press naming them the Saints. And just really funny line too, where one of the cops is just like, oh yeah, can they stay? And Smecker's just like, well, you gotta ask your mom, but it's okay with me if your friends sleep over.
Well, we'll have to check with your mom. But it's okay with me if your friends sleep over.
And that night, as they are both sleeping in one of the jail cells and it is leaking rain profusely, I think that might have been a dream part or something, because otherwise that building needs to be, there's plenty of state funding going there, guys. Why aren't we fixing their jail cells? Anyway, the boys both end up having a dream and wake up at the same point with an epiphany saying, destroy that which is evil so that good may flourish. And it was really pretty in their Irish accents. And so this is kind of the point when they come to this decision that they are the ones, they are given kind of like a divine intervention, that they are kind of like the hand of God to uphold the laws of God, which are stronger than the laws of men. And it is their job to take out evil so that they can protect the good guys, especially ones that are going to be acquitted or have to go through all the political red tape, and they're never actually going to see the inside of a jail cell. And this is kind of where the movie starts taking off. A quick cut to their best friend Rocco, who's known as the funny man in the branch that he works for, and he is going to deliver something to the Don, also known as Papa Joe. And Ron Jeremy is there as like the right hand of the Don, which is just this crazy cameo. If you know who Ron Jeremy is, you know. If not, do not Google. Don't do it. It's just really crazy that he's there. And they have this very crazy scene where Papa Joe says, you know, oh, you're the funny man, tell me a joke. And he tells this insanely racist joke. The entire room is laughing, maybe a lot of the audience as well, unfortunately, and insinuate that Papa Joe has a job for him. Now we go to the guys in the scene that it is every gun nut on the planet's wet dream, because they show up at their local branch of the IRA, give them a lot of the money and the guns that they had gotten from the Russian syndicate, and are given the keys to the IRA's arsenal. Like, there's just machine guns and knives and everything, and a great scene where they're just like, oh, we need some rope. Like, why do we need rope for? I don't know, just guys in movies always need the rope.
Me too, that's stupid. And one thing you need a rope for it.
So funny. And then he's See, Murphy ends up having this like crazy like Bowie knife, and Conch's like, "Is that right, Rambo?"
Is that right, Rambo?
Just too funny. Anyway, and it turns out they had been given information through the whole Russian syndicate thing to find out where a whole bunch of high-ranking members are going to be in the certain hotel room at the certain time. Next, we cut to Agent Smecker in bed with a very young, chiseled young man who's like all over, like trying to snuggle on him and everything. And Smecker's just like, yeah, off of there. As he's getting called in to see the scene one more time. Because this is kind of what happens, is we have a scene where the guys are about to do something, and then it cuts to Smecker, who then goes to the scene and then recounts the whole flashback of what actually happened. It happens multiple times in this, but it's a working formula. I think it works out pretty great, especially because they repeat it and you don't even fully notice until you're doing something like this and talking about it. Also, just something really funny and very 1999 of this movie is that Agent Smecker is, of course, very, very gay, but keeps making all these homophobic remarks because that guy that kept trying to snuggle him in bed, he calls him the F word. And it's just like really like kind of out of nowhere and abrupt and really, really funny. And then goes to the hotel room where there are 9 bodies. And we are seeing that they all have pennies on their eyes, and they know that there is some kind of religious intent here. And cue to the flashback where the guys were going in through the vents, end up falling down through the vent, but they are tangled up in all of this rope and are basically getting spun around like a ceiling fan full of bullets. Because that is how they take out almost everyone in the room, and then take out the big boss guy, like executioner style. As we get our first appearance of the prayer. Now, again, if you know this movie, you know about the prayer. You know probably at least 3 guys that you went to high school with that were obsessed with this prayer.
Power hath descended forth from thy hand. Our feet may swiftly carry out thy command.
And it's kind of a big deal for, this movie. Meanwhile, something unexpected happens right after the guys are done kind of clearing out the room, because Rocco shows up at the hotel room dressed as a, like room service guy. The guys are just like, oh my God, this must be his big break. We've got to mess with him. And so they like pull him in and are all just like, acting like they're about to like, him, and just completely messing with him. But then they see the gun he was given to take care of this whole room with 9 mobsters, and it's a 6-shooter. So the guys are immediately like, something is up here. They sent him in here to get. But yeah, meanwhile, Willem Dafoe. This whole scene where he's like explaining the whole room and everything and what's important, and one of the detectives is just like, so what's the symbology of that? And Willem Dafoe's just like, I think the word you're looking for is symbolism. What is the symbolism?
What is the symbolism there?
No one else could play this role. Had a whole conversation with my man last night, just like, who could ever play this role like him? And we threw out a couple of names. He actually said Alan Rickman for just like the sass and the starkness. I thought maybe like he was going to say Alan Cummings, which that one maybe. My first thought was Rupert Everett from My Best Friend's Wedding, the voice of Prince Charming and Shrek. But in all honesty, no one could play this like him. This movie is what it is because it is cast perfectly and written so memorably, and because Willem Dafoe is amazing. So then back at Rocco's place, the 3 guys are starting to talk about the morality of what they are doing. And Rocco's just like, you guys get to decide what you think is just here and blah, blah, blah. And then they explain it to him how it's just like, all these people are never going to see the inside of a courtroom. These are all monsters. You watch TV every single day and you're like a dad with kids and you're just thinking someone should go out there and take out these guys so I feel safe having my kids walk down the street. And then Rocco's just like, you guys should be in every major city. And this is really the conversation of the movie. Is vigilante justice the right way to go? Or should we trust in the law? Or, who is to say who gets to choose who is guilty and who is not? especially not someone with a gun. Meanwhile, Rocco is starting to kind of complain about how he's been a package guy for the mob since he was like a teenager. Dude's clearly in his 40s now and is just like, you know, not really happy with things. And he's getting all hyped up and he's all drunk, and then he slams on the table and a thing goes off. And there's this R.I.P. kitty. Yeah, if you were a massive, massive animal lover, I'd skip this scene. I'd skip it hard. But then the guys, you know, like the next day, everything kind of calms down, but they start telling Rocco their suspicions because there were 9 guys in there. What if the mob bosses knew how many guys were in there and they sent him with a measly 6-shooter? Also, this being Rocco's first job, you'd think he would need more ammunition, not thinking he's a, you know, practiced shooter. So then Rocco leaves, gives them kind of a mysterious phone call, and comes back freaking out and needing to pack up absolutely everything. And it's really funny because he goes for his vinyl records first. As he's like, we gotta pack everything, we gotta get out of here. Straight to the vinyl. Anyway, I love his priorities. And then his junkie girlfriend and her friend come back, which they apparently like are never at the apartment, so this is kind of weird. And they're just honestly like a little extra to the scene, and it's whatever. But turns out Rocco just laid waste to this diner full of mobsters because apparently Ron Jeremy's character was running his mouth off to absolutely everyone, saying that this was a setup for Rocco and that the whole point was to take him out. And so everyone that knew in that diner, Rocco snapped, took them out. So to say he's officially put in his resignation as delivery boy for the Mafia is an understatement. And now he is fully on board to try and help the guys because he's like, I've been doing this my whole life. I know where the bad guys are. I know what they do. I know where they go. I know how many kids they have. I know everything about this. I can tell you who is truly evil and who deserves your brand of justice. So they do. First thing is they go after Ron Jeremy, who is apparently hanging out at a peep show, which I have never seen this kind of peep show before. This is interesting, but we'll get there. Because once again, the next day, Smecker is at this peep show scene, and their gang warfare idea has kind of gone out the window because on top of taking out Ron Jeremy's character, they took out everyone else in there, minus the girl. It's really funny because it's just like, all right, this was clearly the target. Really good shooting, bad shooting. Because apparently Rocco wanted a turn to help out and is not a practice shot in the slightest. But there is a really, really wonderful scene where Smecker's just laying down on like this chaise that the girl was supposed to be on, and he's just like absentmindedly playing with this feather boa as he's like thinking out loud. It's gorgeous. But again, immediately, like this guy knows what he's talking about, and he, you know, shows everyone what had clearly happened. But now he's very confused because it's not the gang motive that he thought. Meanwhile, the cops are then just like, yeah, sorry, we're just kind of desensitized after the thing we saw this morning at that diner. And Smecker's like, what scene at the diner? And gets super, super mad because they clearly didn't put 2 and 2 together that those obviously were connected because it was a bunch of gang guys in the diner. At some point during the peep show, Rocco asked the guys about the prayer and like, can I learn that? That's really badass. And they're like, no, it's an old family prayer, like passed down from father to son, my father's father kind of thing. And just kind of leave it at that. And we also know at this point that the press and a good chunk of the public really are liking these guys because they are taking out the bad guys. And at this point, Papa Joe is desperate because he thinks Rocco is the one who's been taking out everyone, and Rocco is like this mastermind and super competent, which is hilarious because absolutely not. Like, Rocco has mostly good intentions, but he's an idiot. And so Rocco goes to one of these retired members of the Mafia and says, I need the Duke. I need El Duce. And he's like, are you sure? Like, this guy is uncontrollable. He is an absolute monster. His only stipulations are no women or children, but he's been in prison for, you know, like 25 years. And you have this giant scene of this really, really big prison and them taking this prisoner in chains on a wheeled cart and then put in a giant cage. and then given parole. And this is where we get Billy Connolly. I love him. I really do. Like, Muppet Treasure Island was a fundamental part of my childhood, so that is when Tim Curry and Billy Connolly just became a part of my, like, love language. And I will throw out there, just like with Darby O'Gill, it is really, really kind of funny that they have one of the most famous Scotsmen ever playing an Irishman. Just like they had Sean Connery and Darby O'Gill, they've got Billy Connolly playing an Irishman in Boondock Saints. But I digress. But they really have built up to this point that this guy is an uncontrollable, legendary hitman. So Rocco tells the guys about this other hitman that the Mafia had used, that he had, driven this one time, and that he has a weekly poker game with all these other bad guys. And he knows exactly where the guy lives. This guy's an absolute monster, will take out women and children, and needs to be stopped. So they all end up crashing this poker game. And this is the scene where Willem Dafoe defies logic, defies gravity, defies the laws of how good an actor someone's supposed to be able to be. Oh, it's awesome. Because as Smecker is recounting the tales of what clearly had happened here, you've got the three guys that go in, they're taking out all these mobsters and bad guys left and right. There's a little bit of a hiccup because the main hitman they were there for was in the bathroom at the time, so he comes out and surprises them, but they still handle it. And go out, and this is when things get intense. Because according to Smecker, there were 6 guys waiting in an ambush for the Saints and Rocco, when actually it was just Billy Connolly with 6 different guns. But the way Willem Dafoe tells it, he is sweaty, he is disheveled, he is a freaking mess, and he's just going into this in the most overdramatic, amazing style. Just, there was a firefight!
There was a firefight!
Like, it's so crazy. But then he has this complete total meltdown because there's all this blood all over the place. But the guy's covered it all in pneumonia, so they have all this DNA and can't use any of it. However, the Duke ended up shooting off one of Rocco's fingers, which they couldn't find because it's in the garden. So now Smecker has a full-out fingerprint of Rocco, who clearly has a record if he's been with the mob since he was a teenager, and puts 2 and 2 together that because Rocco had picked up the Saints when they stayed at the prison. And now he knows exactly that these are these guys that he likes, that he respects. And he realizes the ethical dilemma he is now in. So once the guys are done kind of like addressing their wounds and cauterizing stuff with an iron, it's all crazy, they're watching the news and they realize that Smecker is on the case, and they're like, no, he's really, really smart. He's gonna definitely like get us. And Rocco's like, okay, so then do your thing and take him out. And they're like, he is not to be touched. He is a good man. That is not how we operate. Meanwhile, Smecker is getting completely plastered at a bar because he is having the ethical dilemma of his life. And somehow ends up in the same church that the guys go to, and the guys are in fact currently in. And Rocco had been waiting outside and sees Smecker completely like off his game, drunk, and follows him into the church, planning to take him out. So Smecker ends up in confessional, and Rocco ends up holding a gun to the priest and going into confessional and is like talking about taking them both out. But of course, then Connor ends up finding out that Rocco is doing this and is completely pissed, and he reaches through the screen of the other side of the confessional and has a gun to Rocco. Whole thing. But Smecker is talking about his ethical dilemma to the priest and just saying, like, I believe in what these guys are doing. I believe that they are good. I believe that they are necessary. But I also am someone that my life's purpose is to uphold the law. What do I do? And this is when the priest says that the laws of God far surpass the laws of men. And this is the point when Smecker is officially fully on board and is just like, yeah, you're right. Like, that is what's really important. Thank you. So because the guys heard all of this, they end up calling Smecker because they know he's on their side. But the Saints fill him in on the Duke and let him know that he's out there, and that now everyone is looking for the Duke because they know this guy is a monster and is not going to stop. However, Smecker finds out that the guys are about to walk into a complete ambush set up by the Mafia, because as soon as they get there, they are immediately ambushed with Rocco. And this is a very sad scene because Papa Joe ends up taking out Rocco. And it is a really, really, very, again, overdramatic, very, very stylized scene. But it is pretty heartbreaking because the guys are watching their best friend just fade. But Rocco's last words is, "You guys cannot ever stop. Do not ever stop." Anyway, I'm fine. But the rest of the mobsters know that the Duke is coming and he is close, because he doesn't know that Rocco is taken out now, and he's not going to stop until he has some body he can claim to his name for his thing. So Papa Joe's just like, "Yeah, you guys handle it. I'm out." And he takes off. And this is the point where Willem Dafoe really kind of shows his commitment to this cause, because Agent Smecker shows up completely in drag, telling one of the mobsters at the door that he was sent as the entertainment for the night, and have this whole like seduction scene basically, until his wig falls off and the mobster knows like, wait, what's going on? And Willem Dafoe, Agent Smecker, ends up taking out this mobster. And the look on his face as this is happening is kind of legendary. And again, it's only a face Willem Dafoe could make. He's the only one that has the structure for this kind of a look in this moment. But at that point, he's also just like, too far. Like, I'm here to back them up and cover them. I am not here to join them. But by now, the Duke has snuck his way in and ends up knocking out Agent Smecker. And the guys are downstairs saying their prayer over Rocco. And as the Duke is walking up behind them, he joins them in that prayer. Because turns out, this is their dad. He's just been in jail their entire lives. And then we cut to 3 months later when Papa Joe is on trial, and the press and everyone is just like, this guy's gonna walk. He's gonna walk right out of here. They have all of this evidence. They have all of these testimonies. He's going to be acquitted today. And the Saints end up busting into the courthouse with all of these press in the courtroom, and all of the Papa Joe's family versus the victims' families are all there. And this is when they say they are going to basically give out their message to spread to the world that they are there. And they say, we're not here for your poor. We're not here for your money. We're here for your corrupt. Meanwhile, at this point also, like, more than just Smecker is there helping. Other detectives are also there, kind of like helping the guys in this plan. In backup roles, they're not doing what the Saints do. They're just doing backup stuff like pulling a fire alarm or making sure their guns get through security. And the one and only criticism I will have of this entire movie, I'm sorry, there is one, because during this scene, I'm getting chills all over my body. The speech that they have as they are declaring their message, their mission statement to this room full of witnesses to spread their word to the world. Norman Reedus' Irish accent slips a lot.
We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. It is your corrupt we claim.
And again, as someone with a whole family that has this accent, I don't know, just like, did they have more takes that they could have used for that? Anyway, still an incredible scene, but that's just my nitpick of the entire movie. And it's the only time really when that happens. But the guys end up saying their prayer with their dad all together, take out Papa Joe, and the movie concludes with the press going to the public and basically asking the question, what is your thoughts on the Saints? And it's just all these public opinions of whether they are for them or against them. It's like friends fighting against friends. Like, I think you're naive about this. I think they're necessary. And I think you're being dumb if you think that, the law is going to be able to handle all this the way these guys are. And it's just kind of like that whole debate. And that is how the movie goes into the credits, is with that debate holding strong. And that was the Boondock Saints. Clearly, I love this movie. It's a great movie. I know this is probably a more popular one. It is a cult classic, so it is a little bit better known. But it's St. Patty's month, and I wanted to talk about it. And I wanted, an extra excuse to watch the movie. Not that I needed one. I really, really love this movie. Obviously, I think it's Willem Dafoe's best role. I love the addition of Billy Connolly. It is very stylized and very overdramatic at points, but in the best way. And again, I'm very surprised that it took me 11 years to find this movie. So, please let me know, have you seen this? Do you love it? Do you not like it? I'd be really surprised if people don't like it. I've never to this day met someone that didn't, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you end up watching it because of this, oh my god, yay, good for you. Let me know. And pretty please like this video. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. It would be a huge, huge help. And please check me out on Patreon so I can up the quality of these videos for you, because my camera's already starting to go. So, I've been Obscure Girl. I hope you had a great St. Patty's month. The rest is confetti.